let's get into it with attorney at law Bryan Freedman. Bryan, there you go. There, let's just put you up a little taller so I don't tower over you like Larry King used to do to all of his guests. No. Other way around. You're big Bryan, not little Bryan. There you go. Bryan, I listened to Mike Gottlieb on the Town with Matt Belloni, and I have to say, it seems to me like I got this vibe. They set a trap. They set a trap of like, get Baldoni to agree to these words. Blake's claims deserved to be heard. And then we can swoop right in and say, look, there it is. They're acknowledging that she made them originally in good faith, that that her intentions were pure and, not nefarious like I happen to think that they were. So he's weaponizing that one line, and they've completely shifted their strategy. They call you guys in a panic on a weekend and say, we got to settle. Something tells me, okay, let's settle. It's better for everybody. This will be the best outcome. And then a few days later, we got you. This is the real reason we wanted you to settle. Now we can go after you on this 47.1 statute, which doesn't allow you to defend yourself in the state of California, or at least not forcefully. That's a load. You tell me, Bryan. I mean, what's going on?
Well, I didn't listen to the podcast in its entirety, but I think it's clear what's going on. I mean, sometimes it's difficult for people when they settle cases to, when they sue for $300 million, they then claim their damages to be $150 million. And then they settle a case where they don't receive a dollar as part of the settlement. Sometimes you have to try to word that in the best way you can possibly word it. The reality is, whatever the 47.1 turns out to be, it's a fee shifting statute. That's the purpose of it. It was always existed in the case as a result of the facts and circumstances of the case. I mean, it's not something that was new. They would have been entitled to that whether or not we settled the case. So it's a little bit of a mental gymnastic to be able to try to say that that's what we did this for.
Right. It's like that. This was always the thing. It's almost like, oh, no, this was always the thing. No, this was how I characterized it moments ago was this is, it was always about SH. And then when it wasn't about SH, it was always retaliation and standing up for survivors. That's what this is about. This is not about money. This is about being a leader and standing up for those who have been affected like this in life. It's martyrdom, the martyrdom approach. And now it's all about 47.1 and this terrible. This was always there, but it's nothing more than a legal loophole, right? And it's never been tested. Like it's such a new statute that, is there any precedent for it? Has it been used in any cases so far?
No, I think there's a couple of district court cases that have ruled on it in some ways, but it's not necessarily legally binding precedent. I think what you found since the beginning of the case, right, was shifting narratives depending upon what the results of the case were. And, you had this narrative, at one point about a smear campaign. And the reality is, like, remember how the case started. The case started with a surprise article with less than 12 hours notice, in the New York Times, which was meant to be a complete hit piece. It was a bombshell long article that Justin and the other defendants had no time to even really respond to in a significant way. There were, as we started to look into it And Justin was destroyed at that moment, and as were the other defendants and that were in it: Jen Abel, Melissa Nathan, Jamie Heath, Steve Sarowitz. And as we started to look at it, we started to uncover text messages which told the real story, that were not either looked at or at least paid attention to by the New York Times. And the real story being that, no, he didn't bust into anyone's trailer while they were breastfeeding. There was an actual text message that said, come into, it was an invitation from Ms. Lively to come into the trailer while she's pumping, and they can go over lines. And whether it's destroyed the dailies, whether it's I wasn't in talks with Sony, and while she's telling Brandon Sklar that she was, whether they're taking the position that they never said that they used bots, where Miss Lively clearly says in a text message they're using bots. I mean, over and over and over again, you find that things that were said were inaccurate. They didn't comport with the actual documents in the case. And that's why we put everything out there. I think it's unprecedented that that's happened before in legal cases where somebody's dumped everything and said, take a look yourself.
I've never seen that before, but you put out the lawsuitinfo.com, and it had all the receipts, 178 or something pages of receipts and communications between. And didn't you say you did that, by the way, with like 2 days before you if you had done it 2 days later, it would have been like disallowed or something, or was?
Well, I don't know that it was necessarily disallowed. I think the judge asked that we comport ourselves, with, the basic rules of professional, responsibility when speaking to the press and whatnot, which is obviously a reasonable position to take. And I don't know that the judge or the court appreciated that there was, so much information being released to the public, because generally it's not a good legal strategy to put all of your cards on the table. But you have to remember where Justin
where
was
he started this thing. When Blake Lively, who everyone knows, and sorry, not everyone knows Justin Baldoni, right? This was he's the underdog here. He's the unknown in this whole thing. And all of a sudden, this woman who has some amount of credibility and capital built up with public audiences, she's very well known. She says these horrible things about someone and says not only that, but everything he stands for. This is who he purports himself to be. He's an absolute fraud. No, the cast members were like, oh, yeah, this is horrible. We support you. We're all trained in Hollywood to support the survivors. Right away, you have to jump any sort of due process it's like it doesn't exist in this town. So he had to do the lawsuitinfo.com, put the receipts out there, but it wasn't enough. What the defamation suit was, which is why I don't know how it's all going to work out with 47-1, but Justin's countersuit of $400 million also says you're not just defending yourself, you're outraged that this has been said about you. And it strikes you to the core. And to me, that was even more significant. And it was together, the combo is like, okay, wait a minute. I smell a rat here. And that's what, immediately started sinking Blake with the public. So and how can that not be allowed? What is this, California? What are you doing?
Well, let's remember other things that happened in the case, and when you start to talk about, what a smear is or not, the truth is that these are, the documents that were being used were nothing other than videos that she's actually, that Blake Lively was actually in those videos. She was actually speaking in those videos. Those were the alleged videos that were going to be played that were part of, somehow a digital smear. And the way this case started out, it's not like somebody came and made a public complaint and all this stuff. What happened was there was this secret Vanzan lawsuit in New York State court. Everything was done in a secretive, sneaky, way to make sure that he didn't get noticed, that he got the least amount of time to respond, that he couldn't defend himself. And that's why it was, the rare case where you had to put it all out there. You had to say, this is who my guy is. This is what he stands for. And if you go back and you look at the text messages, right, you won't see any text messages where this guy takes a shot in any way, a mean shot, a nasty shot at Blake Lively at all. And he wanted nothing but the best. The truth is, if you really read the text messages, he just wanted to be friends with Blake Lively
and Bryan
Reynolds.
Yeah. I mean, I only wanted to be friends with Matt Lauer when I showed up as the new guy on the Today Show. I just wanted to be liked. I just wanted him to take me out for lunch. I didn't want him to kick me right in the groin. And when you're the little guy in a scene, you just, especially in this big business of Hollywood, you're nervous about being at the table. She's the big person at the table. The the idea that this director came in and decided, you kidding me? No one has more invested in it going very well with Blake Lively and her being happy and the movie being a success. Well, some of those things did happen. Somehow they came out with a giant success. But, he has no interest. What would be this guy's interest in taking it? It just doesn't add up. And I think a lot of people know that, or certainly feel that. But Gottlieb is talking about a sham, this sham defamatory, retaliatory defamation suit that you guys filed. But you mentioned Vanzan, a complete sham from the beginning. It's a shell lawsuit. It's a fake lawsuit designed to get a subpoena out to get the phone of Jennifer Abel so they can get all of her information. It was a complete sham. He'll have to answer to that. Bryan, where does this all go? Do we have a lawsuit happening? Is the original one back on, or has that actually been settled now? And is this a new one that is going to involve Blake and Justin on the stand?
I don't believe it's going to involve Blake and Justin on the stand. As a matter of fact, I think that there was a request for additional information to be filed. And I believe there was an order that came out this morning. I haven't viewed it myself. I've just heard about it that where the court basically said, I don't need any more information. So I believe that Judge Lyman, has enough to rule on it in and of itself. And I don't think that it should call for another lawsuit or testimony or anything like that. Federal judges are really busy people. Our United States district courthouses, deal with people that are locked up in places like Guantanamo Bay and dealing with plenary powers of courts and real, whether presidents have a right to declare war, like real significant issues that they're busy with. I'm sure Judge Lyman his docket is full of cases that have real significance. So,
is this one still on the docket?
I'm sorry?
This one's still on the docket. The original lawsuit is still on the docket, right?
Yeah, yes.
So as of now, a week from today, this lawsuit goes forward until the statement, which we all read, now has an agreement to back it up?
It may have been, the trial may have been taken off the docket, but the case is not finished until I think Judge Lyman is going to issue some rulings and then decide what to do procedurally with some of the other things that remain. But like I think that kind of this idea that people are going around saying I'm the winner is somewhat fictitious. I mean, it's really like just real simple. She sued for $300 million. She said her damages were $150 million. Right? She got rid of her emotional distress damages at some point, and she walked away from the case, not getting anything other than what she already had, which was this 47.1 motion that existed. So I'm not really sure how that's a win. But if it's a win, I'd love to see what a loss looks like.